She served coffee to a stranger, not knowing he was her childhood sweetheart turned billionaire. The morning rush at the little corner cafe was relentless. Emma tightened the apron around her waist, glancing at the line of bleary-eyed patrons. She had worked here for 3 years, always smiling, always patient, though life outside the cafe had its struggles. Bills piled up, rent was overdue, and her dreams of becoming an illustrator were on indefinite hold. "Next," she called, forcing cheer into her voice. A man stepped forward, tall, impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit that seemed to whisper wealth without saying a word. He smiled politely, scanning the menu. There was something familiar about him, but Emma shrugged it off. Businessmen, celebrities, strangers, all blurred together in the morning fog of coffee orders. "What can I get for you?" she asked. "Just a black coffee, please," he said. She nodded, her hands moving on autopilot. "Coming right up." As she handed him the cup, their eyes met, and for a fleeting second her heart skipped. There was a warmth, a spark buried under years and memories she thought were long gone. "Do I know you?" she asked tentatively. The man's smile faltered, then widened in recognition. "Emma?" Her hands froze. "Jake." The name hit her like a lightning bolt. Jake. Her childhood best friend. The boy who had shared comic books with her under the old oak tree, who had promised they'd conquer the world together. The boy who had disappeared from her life one summer, leaving only a note that said, "I have to go, but I'll come back." He was standing there, grown, polished, every bit the billionaire she'd read about in magazines, yet somehow still him. The same crooked smile, the same eyes that had always seemed to see straight into her soul. "I can't believe it," she whispered. "Heart racing." "I can't believe it either," Jake admitted, his voice low, almost hesitant. "I've been traveling for work, and I didn't expect to run into you here." For a moment, the cafe around them seemed to vanish. Emma's hands, which had just served a coffee to a stranger, now trembled slightly. But then instinct kicked in. She remembered her training, her desire to help, to make others feel welcome, and she smiled. "Would you like to sit down?" "On the house," she said, surprising herself. Jake raised an eyebrow. "On the house?" "Yes," she said. "Kindness isn't expensive, right?" He chuckled, the sound carrying a note of nostalgia. And as they sat, "Treated me like any other person, not knowing who I was. Most people see the suit, the company, the headlines. They don't see me. But you treated me like a human being." Emma felt a lump in her throat. She had always believed in small acts of kindness, in seeing the person rather than their status, but hearing it from Jake made her heart swell. They talked for hours, about everything and nothing. The years melted away, childhood memories, awkward first crushes, and the silly promises they had made under that old oak tree. Emma shared her dreams of becoming an illustrator, the setbacks and the quiet moments of doubt. Jake listened intently, occasionally glancing at her sketches she kept tucked in her bag, his admiration evident. "I should have come back sooner," Jake said finally, his voice tinged with regret. "I missed all this. I missed you." Emma smiled softly. "You were living your life, Jake. You couldn't have known." But just as the conversation turned tender, the cafe door chimed. A delivery of roses arrived with a note meant for Jake. He stood abruptly, embarrassed. Emma watched as he carefully put them aside, then returned to her with a warm, apologetic smile. "You've reminded me what really matters," he said, sitting down again. "Money, power, success. It doesn't mean a thing without connection, without people who care. You've reminded me of that, Emma." Before leaving, Jake did something unexpected. He handed her an envelope. "Open this when you get a chance," he said. Curious, she waited until he was gone, the cafe now quiet and humming with the usual morning chatter. Inside the envelope was a note and a check. The note read, "For your dreams, not mine. Keep drawing, Emma. The world needs your art as much as it needs kindness." Emma's eyes filled with tears. In that moment, she realized her simple act of kindness, serving coffee to a stranger without judgment, had come full circle. It had reignited a friendship, reminded a man of his humanity, and even given her a chance to chase her dreams again. Weeks later, her illustrations were featured in a local gallery, and she often thought back to that morning. A single cup of coffee, a smile, a little courage to treat someone with genuine care. Sometimes, that was all it took to change a life, including her own. And somewhere in the world, a billionaire still remembered the warmth of a kind-hearted girl who once served him coffee, not knowing the magnitude of the moment. The world may be big, but kindness is contagious, and its ripples are endless. Emma opened the envelope slowly, her fingers trembling slightly. Inside was a neatly folded note and a check. The note read, "For your dreams, not mine. Keep drawing, Emma. The world needs your art as much as it needs kindness." Her eyes welled up. A mix of disbelief and gratitude flooded through her. She had served coffee to a stranger that morning, unaware that a simple act of kindness could ripple into something so profound. Weeks later, Emma's illustrations were showcased in a local gallery. The walls were lined with her sketches, vivid, heartfelt, and full of life. Each piece told a story, some inspired by memories she'd shared with Jake, some from her own imagination. Visitors admired her work, asking about the inspiration behind her drawings. Emma smiled, telling them honestly, "Life is full of small acts of kindness that can change everything." Jake returned one evening, quietly slipping into the gallery as she explained a sketch to a visitor. When their eyes met, Emma felt the same warmth she had that morning. He had a small bouquet of fresh flowers in hand this time. Not extravagant, just simple and thoughtful. "You've done it, Emma," Jake said softly, his eyes shining. "You've shared your gift with the world." "I knew you would." Emma laughed lightly, a sound full of relief and happiness. "I couldn't have done it without you reminding me that kindness matters, and that people matter." They walked together through the gallery, sharing memories and laughter, realizing that life had a way of bringing people back to the moments that truly counted. Emma thought back to that morning, to the nervous smile she had given a stranger who turned out to be her childhood friend. And now, a man who valued kindness above all else. In that instant, she understood a truth she had always believed. Genuine acts of compassion, no matter how small, have the power to change lives, to reconnect hearts, and to inspire hope in ways that wealth or fame never could. And as they stepped outside into the cool evening air, Emma felt a deep sense of gratitude, not just for the opportunities that had come her way, but for the simple, human connections that made life truly meaningful. Because sometimes, the smallest gestures, like serving a cup of coffee with a smile, can create ripples that last a lifetime.